I got a little intro based on what you sent me.
Oh,
I'm
my
going to read.
goodness.
So my guest today is James Downs with an S, right?
Yep.
James Downs from Doddsville, Mississippi, which is just right down the road if you don't know. He's a creative. He's a designer, a thinker, someone who actually builds things he imagines. He's the owner of Rag Hanger.
Rag Hanger Upholstery.
Rag Hanger Upholstery. His work has been trusted at the highest levels. He's designed furniture for the Oval Office during the Clinton years and for George W. Bush.
Yep.
Designed and built custom dining chairs for U.S. Senator Roger Wicker. And he's even worked for Nick Saban.
Yeah.
Which we got to ask about that. Back in
Well,
high school, James tested with an IQ of 138. And if you don't know, that's high. Like 90 to 110 is normal. He wrote short stories and poetry, some published, while he was trying to get through algebra still, that long ago, right?
Yeah.
And I don't think it was too hard for him with an IQ of 138. He was invited to meet President Ronald Reagan as a teenager, and somewhere along the way developed an ability to see the world from angles most people miss. He's traveled to nearly every state in the country, crossed paths with people like Lenny Kravitz, Mississippi governors, and Boss Hogg of the Dukes of Hazzard. He's also shared pizza behind a dumpster in Atlanta with a homeless man, not once, but more than once. He's created his own furniture line for a high-end company and literally worked on silver screens for 3D projectors. A man with many stories, my guest, James Downs. Good to have you, brother. So, usually I have notes. I had Matt White yesterday, and I had people, I put out there, hey, what question would you ask of Matt White? I don't even know where to begin. You got such a history. It's like, first of all, how have you done all of this, and you don't have like a bigger media presence than me?
I ran out of time. That was I squeeze as much as I can in a day, almost every day. And at the end of the day, I would sit down and I would try to edit stuff, and I said, you know what? I'm just gonna.
You don't like the editing part?
I don't, because I'm one of those people where I would sit down and, like I said, for a few years I did fishing videos, and a lot of people watch. Everybody's favorite guy is Catfish Dave. Everybody knows who Catfish Dave is. And what you don't see is the 4 hours of him sitting there doing nothing.
Yeah.
And, you come up with an idea of what you're going to say, what you're going to do, what you're going to present to the people, because, it's a show.
Yeah.
TV has gotten to the point to where the actual television is irrelevant now. People go to social media, they go to the internet for what you used to go to television for. So what people don't really appreciate is each one of these views that you click on Facebook, YouTube, things like that, that's an independent production.
Yeah.
It's a personal television show, and a lot of people don't appreciate what it takes to put into that.
Time and money.
Yeah.
Because time is money. Like if I go spend a day and I hit 4 gas stations and only 2 of them are good enough to make my show,
Right.
I spent a couple $100 that day in gas plus my time.
Yeah.
And people don't understand what all that means.
Yep. And I grew up fishing as far back as
What's your fishing, like bass or?
Oh, no, catfish.
Catfish. Well, when you mentioned catfish earlier,
It would enable me to, because I did pan fishing, which I normally used for the bait for the catfishing shows. And I said, you know what? I'm gonna start using these brim in the catfish. So if I'm catching them,
you're going for big cats then.
Yes.
If you're doing brim for bait.
Yeah.
How big?
I think the biggest one I caught so far was like 40. I want to say it was 46, 47 pounds was the largest one I caught. It was a
I don't think
flathead.
people realize how big a fish that is.
It's a big fish.
Because like you catch an 8-pound bass, people are like, what? I mean, it's like huge.
Yeah,
How big is a 40-something pound?
It was massive. It was big enough to where when it came up, I could literally put both fists in its mouth. It's how wide this thing was. His head was as big as my head. That's how big this thing was.
I used to go trot line in Long Lake over here.
Yeah.
And I would go out there and I would just bait it up with just bait fish, like minnows and stuff for crappie, because that's what I like to eat, crappie.
Yeah.
Man, that's such a good eating fish. Now, I like to sport fish for bass, but I would rather eat the crappie. Honestly, the bass don't taste that great to me. And I caught a paddlefish, and they just, if you don't know, they just swim around with their mouth open.
Yep.
And I just happened to snag one.
I've snagged a few of them.
That
too.
son of a gun was about 50 pounds. And I could stand like this, and his tail touched the ground. He
Yep.
was that big. And
Yep.
of course, then he had that paddle too, so he was like 5 foot long.
Yep.
And I was telling somebody, and they went, "I bet the picture weighed 5 pounds." And I had the picture, and he looked at that picture. He said, "I believe the picture does weigh 5 pounds." It's a big old paddlefish.
It is.
And unfortunately, there's some kind of sturgeon.
Yes.
They say some kind of sturgeon family. They're not really a catfish.
No, they eat the small microbial things in the water.
They swim around like a whale with their mouth
Yeah, like a
open.
whale. They just walk. They swim around, and I've caught a few of them, but it seems like every one of them I've caught in the tail. And you talk about it. It's a fight. You snag a fish in the tail. It is not like leading it from the kind of like a bull. You know, that's why they used to put the horn.
You're trying to pull him backwards.
You know, you pull him forward. You got that nose ring. They kind of come. Grab him by the tail and see what you get. That's what you. That's what you get when you get a paddlefish by the tail. And I'd sit there and fight, and you don't know what you got until you get it to the bank. I thought I had a carp or something, but both times I've caught it, both times it was in the tail.
Well, where do you fish for these big catfish?
Mississippi River. I tell you where I go, because it's easy for me to go and get in and get out. Is what's the place outside of Greenville?
The lake out there?
Warfield Point Park.
Oh yeah.
You can just park, get out, boom, you're in the river. And we normally
So
fish.
that land is right straight into the Mississippi.
Yeah,
right there.
right there
I didn't
where
realize that.
Ferguson.
And it's a public landing, right?
Well, it's not really a landing. It's more like a skip a couple rocks, hop a log, and you're there. There's no trail. There's no nothing. But right there where
But it's
Ferguson
public
leads
access.
in. Yeah. And there's a lot of people that go down there because once you get past the rocks and everything down there, there's sand dunes down there, and you can walk for half a mile in any direction.
You know, I've never been down there.
You hadn't?
Uh-uh.
It's easy to get to. And my thing is, because I've got so much going on, when I decide to go fishing, I need it to be quick and easy access, no junk.
I gotta ask, how did you get the attention of Bill Clinton?
Oh, that was when I was working. I was actually working at Lazy Boy.
Well, I wondered because you had Lazy Boy in that, and I
Yeah.
wondered if that was the connection there.
It was, and what I did was I was working for the product development department at that point in time, and they were going to let them go down the line. And I said, no, you don't want to do that. I said, what if, because you could read the tickets on who this furniture was going to. And I said, look, what if somebody on the line is a Democrat or Republican, and you got these far left leaning and right leaning people? I said, how about I do all of it? I'll make sure everything's right. So cut it, sewed it, cut the foam, upholstered it, boxed it the whole 9 yards. So what they actually sat in, I built the frames, everything. And what they did was each time there's a new president coming in, there's, I think, either 5 or 7 new pieces that they'll swap in and out from the Oval Office. And I built all of those. And what they do is they'll bring them in, and there's 3 or 4 different manufacturers that offer presidential seating for the new president. And he kind of picks which ones he wants. And the rest of them will either go into various places or they'll hold on to some of it for the presidential library. And what they do is they'll pick what they want. Everybody else gets the rest. But there's a few photos on the internet of Bill Clinton when he first came in. I don't know why it was red, but I was thinking it would have been blue. But they offered, traditional black leather furniture. And there's a couple seats, the ones that you actually sit in behind the desk.
The Resolute desk.
Yep.
Yeah.
And he's in the red upholstered seat that
you built.
That I actually built.
Completely built.
Completely
Sound
built.
like,
Yeah. And that was kind of neat. Now, they also had some of them that were way more intricate. They had exposed show wood and everything else. Those they kept to the side in a little, they call it, Trump calls it Monica Lewinsky's closet. But that's what he calls it.
God.
But there's actually furniture sitting in there for photo shoots.
Yeah.
That's a little more intricate. It looks good, doesn't sit as good your everyday as what you normally sit in. And if they're doing photo ops, you will not see the furniture he sits in every day. Kind of like when Kennedy, and you can see, John Jr., playing around the desk and
Yeah.
stuff. Those are photo ops. They're not doing anything that day. They're just doing pictures for the president to release to the public. That's when they drag the furniture out of the closet. They'll take pictures and then they put everything else back in the more comfortable pieces. That's what they sit in every day. So we actually
So
sit in.
they'll swap those pieces out when they have photographers in there. Is what
Yep.
you're saying? Really?
Yep. Yeah. What you see in the public most of the time is not what they actually sit in every day, because we had ergonomic chairs. The arms go up, down, in, out. I mean, you can custom fit those things perfectly for you. And Lazy Boy was one of the first companies that actually offered those things.
Where was that plant at?
In Leland.
That's what I thought. It's
Yep.
not there anymore.
It is.
It's still there?
It is.
It's operational?
They were bought out by, I can't say who bought them out, but I can say they operate under the name KNU. It's
Okay.
new. And,
So it's not Lazy Boy anymore, but it is open.
well, they bought the rest of the name.
I
every
got
so
you.
many years they have to redo.
I thought the Leland plant closed for some reason.
No, they're still functional down there. They're still building furniture right now.
And you helped design some stuff for them too? Is that right?
Yeah, we had some guys from North Carolina. The first real designers that I ever dealt with. They're a different group of people. Most people who are creative are way more eccentric than the average human being.
Yeah.
And they sat down with these blueprints and everything. And what they would do is they would come to us with an idea, sketches. And it was our job to take the sketch and create something realistic that we could mass produce and make a profit off of. So we sat down with these guys and we did a few pieces, and then we did a few more. And then we ended up, at the end of the day, that one collection had 125 different pieces in it.
That's a lot of
That's
pieces.
a lot of pieces. And there were tables, desks, chairs, ottomans, all kinds of stuff. But all in all, there was 125 pieces total in that whole collection. But it was the funniest thing. The day before we even got started, they said, okay, well, we're going to meet the guys. And then tomorrow we're going to sit down and hash out, because what a lot of designers don't understand is you've got a lot of people that are designers that can't create anything. They can draw things, sketch things. They have pretty ideas. And that's what we had to hash stuff out, because I can draw Superman flying, but I can't make a flying man.
Yeah.
Just because you drew it doesn't mean I can make it exist. So we kind of went over all of this. And one of the designers, I noticed he had a limp. People have limps. I had no idea. But we were sitting at one of the bars outside of Greenville, and this guy had too much to drink. And he sits his false leg, which I didn't know he had, on the table, and he starts scratching his nub. And you could tell this is something he does often at home, because mid-scratch he goes, and he looks up and he realized what he done, and he took his boot back off and he put it back on. It was the funniest thing. I was probably 24, 25. It was hilarious. But we've met all kind of people doing furniture, but it's been fun. It has. I've met a lot of people.
Well, there's definitely a gap between designers and the people that actually build it.
Right.
And I know my daughter just graduated of Mississippi State a year or two ago in architecture. And one of the things they're doing now is they've got this building construction group that they're teaching, and they make them do projects together.
Huh.
To kind of bridge that gap,
Yeah,
so that
so
they
you can
can, so that
understand what you
the
can and
building
can't
construction
do.
can see why they're thinking this way, and so they can
Yeah.
see why building construction goes, I can't build a fine man, like you said,
Yeah.
and they actually do hands-on projects
It's way
where
better like
the
that.
architects have to go in and help build this stuff, so they see what the building construction
real
people are,
world
what
is.
the real world is.
Yeah.
And you see that all the time with engineers on highway projects. And I remember they were widening the highway in Drew, and one of those guys that was in charge was like, just once, I'd like to build it exactly like they said, just so they could
Just
see
so
how
they can see what's wrong with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you, Angie.
Thank you, ma'am.
That was a good looking burger. I ain't gonna lie.
It is.
Whew. So we both. I don't know why we both got burgers today. I really kind of wanted the smothered fried pork chop. Those are home cut fries too. So
I've seen them in there cutting them.
yeah, they're good. Napkins, and I got mine with comeback sauce on it. It's not on the menu that way, but I thought, what the heck? I own the place. I can make those kind of
There you go.
decisions. It smells good. Hopefully they'll hurry up and answer that telephone. So you went from there. You took that knowledge, I guess, and then opened your own business.
Years later. Actually, not really. I started there when I was 19. And by the time I was 22, I was already in the product development department creating furniture. I met a guy named Bobby Snell. And me and Bobby hit it off. And he was one of the guys that was the gap between the product development department and the people. He helped create some of the product, but his big thing was training the people to produce the product. And he was getting ready to retire. And he used to work right across from me. We were both Jimmy Buffett fans.
Oh yeah.
And we were talking one day, and I said something about some Jimmy Buffett song, and he said, "You know, I seen him at Delta State right before he got big." I said, "Really?" And that was it.
I've heard about that concert.
Have you? Well, me and Bobby talked about Jimmy Buffett, and he was a huge fan, and we just hit it off. And when he got ready to retire, he looked at me and he said, "Do you want my job?" And I said, I don't know, Bobby. I said, because at that point he had actually, because he started off on the upholstered line. And he was working in the product development department then and got ready to retire. And he offered me the job. He said, "Look, they're going to hire whoever I say hire." I said, "I'll take it." Because I like.
So you went from being on the line to product development?
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying? Yeah.
Within just a couple of years. And it was an interesting change. I got to work with, because when we work with designers, we got to work with people all over the world. And you get to, here in Mississippi, I don't want to say, we're not exposed to the culture that a lot of people are, like in California, New York, things like that. We get that stuff later. Life's a little slower here. And no matter where we had to go, because I'd have to hop on a plane, go to Seattle, go to New York, go different places and meet with people, have meetings on what we were doing and, where were we at on certain projects. But not one point in time did I ever not want to come back home, because I like people. I like talking to people. I enjoy people, but not at that rate. It's, New York's a fun place to visit. There's no way I could live there. LA's fun. I don't want to live there either. It's something about the peaceful, slow pace here in Mississippi. You appreciate it once you get older.
So there's a big time gap between, I guess, George W. Bush and then Wicker. So did you you built that stuff on your own there?
Yeah, Wicker.
So that wasn't,
last year.
So you did that out of your business that you had. Now, tell us about that place.
After designing furniture for so many people over the years, I worked for John Richard over in Greenwood. Well, they ended up selling the company. They moved a lot of that over to North Carolina. And that was feasibly my next step, was to pack up and move to North Carolina. And as I didn't lose, I've been to North Carolina a ton of times. I didn't lose anything there. I'm good. And I said, you know what, guys? I think I'm just going to work for myself. I'm good with it. So after learning and going to school and everything else to learn what I learned, I can sit down. I can literally take measurements off of your body and custom build furniture for each individual person. We can sit down, sketch stuff out. I can create stuff that, nobody else has, and build it from the ground up, cut it, sew it, upholster it, everything, the whole 9 yards. There's not a lot of people on planet Earth that can do that. It's not. You've got,
usually you're one or the other. You're good with the wood.
Yeah, you can build frames.
And you don't really want to upholster.
Nobody. It's hard to find a guy that knows how to sew.
Yes, it is.
That's one. That seems to be the missing gap in a lot of it. You've got people that can upholster, and you got people that can build the frames. But when it comes to the fabric, it's they don't understand the. That's one of the things that I was talking to my daughter about the other day, about algebra and things like that. When you're coming across like a top arm on a sofa, when you're coming across the top of it and it's rounded, you've got to calculate for the sew seam and the radius, and you got to figure out how much fabric has to come around that radius to come down the arm. And I said, all you do is you take your radius, and I was explaining to her how you do all of this, and she said, I'm never going to use that. So I thought that too when I was in school. But I actually use algebra every day when I'm doing cushions and things like that to account for the curvature of the sofas and things like that on the different shapes, because it's more than just throwing fabric on something. You know, when you're creating something that literally doesn't exist and you're creating every single little bitty aspect of it, it's a lot. It's a lot. It's a lot of math involved.
So is most of what you're doing building furniture from scratch, the ground up?
Yeah. I do a lot of reupholstery.
That was my next question. How much of that
More than I would ever like.
you'd rather be building stuff from scratch?
My thing is, I love the creative aspect of building the furniture from the ground up, because I work with a lot of decorators and designers, and it's always a little bit different. I have base structures you can pick from, and I can build it as tall, as wide, as deep, as high, whatever you want. And it's always a little bit different, which means going back to the drawing board, creating, new stretcher rails, new top rails, new things, to make it wider, taller, whatever I need to do to fit whatever application they're using it for. And the fabric's always different, and each fabric is different than the next. So when you're making the pattern, you adjust for the stretch of the fabric, so it never gets old. I guess at this point, I've been doing it over 30 years, and it hasn't got old yet.
Where's your shop?
My carport.
Oh, that's where most of the best shops are, right?
That's where I do all my woodworking at. I had a shop that was 30 by 30.
Yeah.
Oak tree fell on it. And I said, you know what? I'll just start using the carport. I'll rebuild the shop, and everything functioned fine under the carport. And that's where I did all my woodwork. Now, I do all my cutting, sewing, everything else, the upholstery. The house we have is huge. So the bottom portion of the house is an upholstery shop.
Gotcha.
So I do all the cutting, sewing, upholstery work. I took the biggest room in the house and I converted it into an upholstery shop, and that's where I do it. And it's simple, it's easy. We actually,
Right here in Sunflower County, right here in Dodgeville.
yeah. There's a lot of people that I've known most of my life that I pass every day. They have no idea what I do for a living. They just know that's changed. I don't.
Are you kin to the Downs from Rule?
No, I wish I had a dollar every time somebody asked me that.
Well, I know them well, and I was trying to figure that out. I didn't call and ask. But, John Downs has been there forever.
Yeah, I'm not.
That's two JDs,
But people ask me that all the time, and I don't know them. And I don't know if they know me. I have no clue.
So you grew up in Indianola when you graduated high school?
90.
Oh, we're basically the same age. I'm 91. So my wife is Leslie Davis.
Okay.
So she graduated the year before you. She's from Indianola.
Oh. It's
Yep.
a small town, but it kind of grew, and then I think they finally plateaued off. I see stuff that they're doing in Oxford and in Tupelo. Tupelo's kind of slowed down a lot too. But the stuff they're doing in Oxford, as far as the growth, I really wish we had something like that around here. But I look around the Delta towns, Greenville, Greenwood, Indianola. I just don't see the growth here that I do in other places. It's
They're so proactive.
I don't know.
Cleveland does that to a degree. Cleveland's probably the most proactive.
Yep.
But it's just like we do a thing here we call Success Supper Club, and it's just for guys like you that have businesses. And we do a happy hour first, and everybody comes in, and and it's free. We have food out, we have a little bit of adult beverages out, and then I'll have a guest, and we'll sit down, kind of like me and you're sitting down right now, and we'll just have a conversation, just a strictly business conversation.
Yeah.
I'll be like, how did you get started in this? How does it work for you? What advice do you have for the younger guys out there?
Yeah.
And it's been a lot of fun because I've been going literally out of state to see stuff like that. And I'm driving back from, no joke, I'm leaving Nashville one day, driving back here from an event called Whiskey and Wisdom.
That's a good name.
It's a great name. And I'm going, man, why can't we have that in Mississippi?
Yep.
And I was remembering my friend Billy Cox says, if it is to be, it's up to me.
That is
And I
the
thought,
truth.
you know what? I've got a space. I know a few people that would be great guests. I'm just going to do this, but I can't use the name Whiskey and Wisdom. I don't know what I'm going to do. So I'm driving down the interstate and I come up with Success Supper Club.
Yeah.
Because mine would be more supper than whiskey.
Than the whiskey.
Than the whiskey.
Yeah.
And I text Michael Burt, Coach Burt, and I said, Coach, I'm going to steal your idea and I'm going to call it Success Supper Club. And we had our first event. And I was coming down 40. And I thought, who'd be a good guest? And Heath Riles had just won Memphis in May.
Oh.
And I text Heath and I said, hey, man, I got this idea I want to do. Would you be my first guest? So he was the first guest. And we just brought him in. People don't know about how successful he's been. You know, even though he's got a pretty good social media presence, like the level of success that guy's grown and blown his business up. And we just came in and he talked about scaling a business. You know, how do you scale a business? And then I had my friend Jay Bradley come in and talk about sales.
Yeah.
You know, how do you do sales? Because that's not for everybody, but everybody got to do a little of it.
Yeah.
And it was a lot of fun. But what y'all come to the next one, you're close enough.
Yeah.
I don't have a date set, but I'll text you.
I'll be there. But yeah, talking about sales, that's one of the things that Lord have mercy, I can't even remember who. But a lot of people that start businesses or try to create businesses from the ground up, a lot of people have great ideas and they can, as far as creating a product, a lot of people miss is you are your business's best product. You know, you're the face of what you're trying to do. And a lot of people miss that along the way. And that's one of the things that bothers me about the younger generation. I've seen everywhere from high school kids on up to, late 20s, they don't have the communication skills that, we did when we were younger, because we didn't have a cell phone to text, or, we actually had to go see them, and the human conversation. I think the younger generation's missing out on that. And it may be some of the problem that we're seeing. And I don't see the ambition in a lot of younger people that I did when I was younger. A lot of guys were go to it, get after it guys. And I don't see that in the younger generation.
I think you and I are both Gen X, though. We got the hell worked out of us as kids.
We did.
Now, my kids both had to work here in the restaurant. I got two girls. They both worked here in the restaurant. And I will say, I think Gen Z might be overlooked a little bit, because if you remember, they talk that same stuff about us. They're like, that generation's no good. But about I'm just working with some Gen Z, not millennials so much.
Yeah.
But Gen Z, about half of them, they kind of want to be left alone, which is kind of like we were.
Yeah.
And they're like, if you just tell me what you want done and leave me alone, I'll handle it. And that is like, my daughter's like that. She's a worker, and I'll tell you a funny story about her. She got a new job working in Fairhope, Alabama, and I don't remember when it was, somewhere around varsity. She was the only one at work. Everybody else had taken the day off, and except for her and like the person that answered the telephone, and they're like, I'm gonna go home, and she's like, I'm gonna go home, but I don't want them to think I'm not a hard worker.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm proud of you, but if you're the only one there,
You're the only one there.
I think they're going to be okay.
Yeah.
If sure enough she leaves and somebody calls and says, hey, could you handle this for me? And she said, oh, I'm not there. And they were like, I was like, look, none of them are there. They're not going to be mad at you.
Yeah.
But there are some hard workers in that generation that are young, I think. We'll see how they do. But
Yep. That's, I started when I was, started working a full-time job when I was 14. I used to run the projectors at the movie theater in Indianola. I started at 14. My uncle, I can tell part of this story. My uncle used to work at the Cinema 182 over in Greenville. And, way back in the old days, they used to have the VCR tapes. And you could put one in, and they would have other VCR tapes under it and record that one. And he was duplicating, adult movies.
yeah.
And while he was doing that, I was probably 12 years old. I was running the projectors at Cinema 182 when I was 12 years old, because he was doing this, and that's where I learned how to run the projectors at. So I'm in the theater in Indianola, and Edward Lovelace was running the theater there in Indianola, and him and the projectionist got mad they were going at it. I thought they were fixing to go into a fist fight, but the projectionist ended up quitting. He left. And Edward says, well, I guess we're going to shut it down. We're going to send everybody home. And I said, hold up. I said, I can run the projectors. He looked at me. I'm a 14-year-old kid. And he laughed. He said, we're going to send everybody home. We'll figure something out. I said, hold on. I gave him my uncle's number because it was Friday. He was working at the theater in Greenville. And he called him, and he came back out of the office and came out there. He said, show me how to thread them up. I said, okay. So I went upstairs. I started threading all the projectors up and got everything wired up. I said, start. He said, start. I said, okay. So I hit the button, and he's like, how do you know how to do this? And I explained to him how I knew how to do it. I said, man, I've been doing this for a couple of years now. And he said, all right. He said, you need a job? I said, I'll take it. He said, okay, well, you hired. And I went in there to do the paperwork, and he said, you're 14? I said, yeah. He said, if anybody asks, just tell them you're 15. He said, 15 and a half. You're finna turn 16. I said, sounds good to me. So I started working.
You could get away with that back then.
Yeah, you can get away with that back then. It's child labor laws now. But yeah, if you went to the movie theaters back in the late 80s, there was a kid running the projectors up there. Yeah.
Well, it's funny because I can work my own kids at whatever age I want to work them.
Yeah.
And immigrants use that loophole all the time. And
Yeah.
they have big families and work their kids in the stores or whatever they got going on. And I worked on the farm early, and my kids worked early. But like, it's kind of a shame in a way. Like, I knew a guy that was farming next to me, and he had a bunch of young guys that wanted a job for the summer, and somebody called child labor on him, and he was like, "I'm sorry, I can't work y'all anymore."
And see, if you're making and I understand why the law exists, but if you're making a kid work, that's not the same thing as the kid wants to work.
Correct.
It's not the same thing.
Yeah, these guys wanted a job,
Yeah.
and he had to go to them and say, somebody was mad at him
Yeah.
for something else and just looking for something. But
That is exactly, and you never know what you're taking from that kid as far as experience, work environment, because, working on a farm, if you're the youngest kid on the farm, you're taking a lot of slack. You are. The older
especially if
guys
you're
on
the
the
boss's
job
kid.
Yeah, that makes it even worse.
I had a good experience, and they were all super helpful for me, all those guys. But, I remember kind of that realization hit me that, so minimum wage back then, you remember this, $3.35 an hour.
Yep.
I did not make $3.35 an hour. And
I didn't. Known as the boss's son.
You can't. And I didn't really understand. I'm like, well, I'm out there working too. And I was a little bitty kid at 14.
Yeah.
Or even 12 or 13, whatever I was when I was out there at first. I couldn't do the amount of labor they were doing.
Yeah.
I wasn't worth the $1 or $2 or whatever it was they were paying me, My first job was picking up chunks and throwing them in a fire. So
Yeah.
we were putting up center pivots right north of town up here. And there were some little wood lots and stuff. We were clearing those wood lots up, and they would bunch up everything they could, and then they would take a root rake and rake up what they could. And then there was little chunks left, and they would have these huge fires burning, and I would literally pick chunks up and throw them into those fires for $1 an hour. That was my first job. But then when I got to where I was a pretty good worker, and I was driving a big tractor and all of that, they would pay me $3.35. And those guys next to me making, I don't know what they made, honestly, probably more than minimum wage. But they had families to feed,
Right.
and all of
bills.
that. They had real bills. I didn't have anything, so I didn't really appreciate it. And then one day we had a farm manager named John Henry Johnson who was riding home, because they picked me up just like everybody else.
Yeah.
Nobody drove to work back then. You on the farm, you got picked up.
Yep.
And I didn't ride with my daddy. I got picked up, and John Henry looked at me. He said, we'd worked about 100-hour week that week. So $3 and whatever it was. I mean, I had like a $300 check.
Yeah.
And he said, what you going to do with all that money? And it kind of dawned on me that I had more expendable income than any of them had, even though I was making less money,
Yep.
And those were good times, though, man. I wouldn't trade them.
Yep.
So you, I know from your bio that you took that knowledge you learned in the movie theater, and you traveled and did some stuff with that.
Yeah, we traveled all over the United States doing It started out as installing silver screens, and we just progressed into general maintenance. We did all kinds of stuff. But when the big 3D thing first came out, we started installing. There's a non-reflective silver screen you have to have for that to even work. So we had to swap all the screens out and then swap.
You literally mean the screen that people are looking at, right?
Right.
When you hear people say on the silver screen, there's literally a silver
screen. Yeah. But it doesn't reflect light back, which allows you to. The way it works is the projector needs a surface to project to, and if it's white, you see a lot of overhead projectors, they're white. And the reason they use white is the amount of light that bounces back is minimalized. Well, they have a non-reflective silver textured surface that they put on that reflects zero light. So when they broadcast onto the screen, you can do it with the least amount of light that you have to project to the screen. And we had to swap all of these screens out across the entire United States and the projectors and everything. And we started out doing that, and then during the off season, because that was seasonal, we would come in, we would, fix tile, fix wall carpet, just whatever.
Yeah.
Wallpaper, everything.
So what company was that?
Cinema Repairs. My uncle had a company called Cinema Repairs out of Vicksburg, Mississippi.
Really?
Yep. Billy Brown. Yep.
And y'all went all over the whole United States doing that.
We did.
Is that how you ran into Boss Hogg?
Oh no, I was younger. They were doing a meet and greet, and it was funny because there was several people, and it was out of the TV station there in Greenville.
Yeah.
And they were doing a meet and greet, and they had people that were on Channel 6 primarily. That was one of the shows or whatever channel it was there. But the Jeffersons played on the same channel that Dukes of Hazzard did back then, and they took the stars. I'll tell you how long ago this was. They took the stars around different towns so you could sit and talk to them, hang out with them, get stuff signed and everything to promote the show. So, I got to meet him, and I got to meet, Lenny Kravitz's mom, who was on the Jeffersons. So I met her.
Oh yeah, that's right. I forget that Lenny Kravitz's mom was on the Jeffersons.
Yep.
Yeah, she was
married
to the white guy. Was that her?
That's her.
In real life too, I guess.
Yeah.
Married to a Jewish guy in real life. Yeah.
But yeah, that's I met her then, and she was the only lady that was there, and you can tell it was primarily male oriented.
Yeah.
As far as the guys, she was just as quiet, nice as she could be. But you had other guys that were, especially I can't remember his name. It starts with an S, but the guy that plays Boss Hogg.
Yeah.
His character that he plays on the television show is not far from the real guy.
Are you serious?
He's outspoken, talks nonstop, and I'm telling you, when I tell you this guy was 5'4" at best, he was. I think they shot the camera angle way low to make.
Well,
him
he
look
looked
taller
short.
than
He looked short in real life.
He was shorter.
For those that don't know, Boss Hogg was the every episode bad guy.
Yep.
On Dukes of Hazzard, and they don't have those anymore. But it's the same bad guy in every episode, but there's also another bad guy too. Usually,
he was the primary conflict against the Duke boys.
Yes,
that made the show interesting, and they come up with little things for him to go at them against and stuff like that. But
it was so funny.
It was so funny. It was a good family show.
It was.
Then. And my grandkids still watch Dukes of Hazzard to this day.
Have you seen the movie?
Yeah.
It's not. It's some funny stuff in there. And Burt Reynolds as Boss Hogg was probably the right way to go.
Yeah.
He was because how can you not love? Because that's the same generational stuff. But
yeah.
Burt Reynolds and Boss Hogg. I will always think that Smokey and the Bandit may be the best comedy movie of all time.
It was good. Yeah. It was good. But yeah, Boss Hogg. When they cast Burt Reynolds, I thought, oh my goodness, and I thought about it. If you try to cast somebody that actually looked like Boss Hogg,
it wouldn't work.
I don't think it would work at all.
I think that's why
they had to
did
go
that.
a different direction, and I think at that point in time, I don't think there was anybody else who could have played it as good and understand the humor of it.
Yeah.
And portray Boss Hogg as Boss Hogg without looking like him.
Yeah, Bo and Luke were a little ridiculous.
Yeah.
His characters in the movie were in the TV show. They were smarter than everybody else.
Yeah.
But there was one funny scene when they're pulling the safe.
Yeah.
and he says, "No, Bo, no," and Bo thinks he says, "Go,
Go,
Bo,
Bo,
go."
go.
Yeah, that is the only funny scene. So all the time when we're doing stuff at home, I'll go, "No, Bo, no." That means for them to stop.
That is funny. But yeah, that was a pretty good show. But yeah, I ran into her son, Lenny, when I was working with Lazy Boy. And we stayed in Chicago. They have like a world trade thing for furniture fairs. Not just furniture suppliers and manufacturers, but people that supply wood, new finishes, things like that. And the show's called Neocon. And we were there, and I ran into Lenny. I had to hold the elevator for him, and he was coming, but he was coming slow. It was about 2 a.m, and we were all coming back from a little meeting we had with Lazy Boy, trying to figure out what we're going to do the next day. And he's got these 2 huge bodyguards with him. And you can tell they're wanting to walk faster because I'm holding the elevator, but Lenny couldn't walk no faster than what he was. And he finally got into the elevator. He had it's 2 a.m. now. He just got out of a cab. He's got shades on. They're guiding him. He gets in the elevator, and I looked at him, and I said, "Hey, aren't you?" And he goes, "Yeah." And I just fell out laughing. I said, "This guy is fried, died, and laid to the side." The 2 bodyguards just cracked up laughing. And we come up, it's 22 floors. And we get to about the 20th floor. And he goes, "Oh." And they hit the button, and they stop, and they get out. And he looks at me. I go, "I'm at the top." I hit the button again. I was like, "I'll let y'all later, buddy." They had partied way too hard.
Well, it is 2 a.m.
Yeah. I was doing business. I don't know what he
Nothing good
was
happens
doing.
at 2 a.m. Anyway, I don't care if you're in Seattle or Greenville, Mississippi.
Yeah, whatever.
Probably less good at Greenville, Mississippi at 2 a.m. actually.
Yeah. Whatever you do at 2 a.m, he had done all of it.
So you went all over the country. You've been to every state, you said, except for
Alaska and Hawaii.
So all of the continuous states.
Yeah,
you've been
everything
all
in continental United States.
Was that from the Lazy Boy days or from
Both.
putting in
All
some
of
just
it.
overlapped?
Yeah.
What's your favorite place you've been?
North Carolina. I love North Carolina. It's
Outer Banks, or you like the mountains better? Or?
I like the mountains. It's the one of the few places that you can go to and you feel like you've actually went somewhere else.
Yeah.
And the way the roads are laid out, the way all of the shops, the hotel, it's one of those places where you can pass a Walmart and you don't know you just passed a Walmart.
Yeah.
Because they have building codes to where, you can only build buildings this high. The fascias, everything has to be painted the same color, all kinds of stuff. I tell you what we were doing. We were riding around one time in North Carolina looking for a Lowe's because we had to get some 2x4s because we was building some structure behind the screen to hold up the speakers. We passed this Lowe's 5 times because there was a little bitty sign, maybe 3 feet wide, that said Lowe's. And that was it because that's all they were allowed to have because of the building codes there. And we rode around, and the GPS kept saying, "Turn right." And I'm thinking, that's not a Lowe's.
I just got back from North Carolina.
Did you?
So I had the same kind of experience. It's like everything's set off of the road.
Yep.
So not only are the signs small, but everything, you can't really see the building
Yeah.
half the time, especially if
there's
you're on
bushes.
the interstate.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's trees, and it's just, you feel like you went through a town and you didn't even see the
You
town
didn't see the town. Yeah, that's exactly.
if you're on the interstate. And I was like, is just nobody live here or what's going
It's
on?
weird how it's set up, but it's completely different. We live in a place where, if I'm going to the store, I just pull off the highway. There's a store.
Yeah.
They're not set up.
No,
like that.
it's not. And it was a real interesting. I went all the way to the Outer Banks.
Yeah.
Went to Kitty Hawk and what was the first colony? Roanoke.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's right there.
I've always wanted to go there and
So,
never stop.
well, I went through it. I didn't
Yeah.
stop. It's just woods now. It's just
Yeah.
an island with nothing on it. But those Outer Banks, you've got Nag's Head, Kitty Hawk, and then Duck right there in a row on the same island.
Yep.
And I went to this one. This goes with the story you had earlier. But I've got a great contact with National Association of Convenience Stores to do these videos with. And if I'm going somewhere new, I'll send them a message. I'll say, hey, man, what do I need to check out? Because they put out a publication every month. They've been doing it for years and years.
Oh.
And they highlight some of the great food. So a lot of times they know places
Yeah.
everywhere. And he says, well, you got to go to Nag's Head and go to Biscuits and Porn. And I'm like, wait, what? He says, it's just a name. There's really no porn there. But I'm like, I don't know if this is going to, and I really debated it. So at first I wasn't going to go because my audience is not that audience.
Yeah.
I mean, I got some dudes in my audience, don't misunderstand. But I'm like 51% male, 49% female in the audience that I have. And pretty good Christian going folks that follow me, you know, and they don't expect me to do a lot of cussing or go to a place called Biscuits and Porn. So I thought, I don't know if I want to go or not. And I think I actually lost some followers.
Because
I went and I just stood in front of the building and the sign's over my shoulder and I'm like, I'm finna go in here and review this place. And I lost followers like that. But also got 1 million views on that video because people wanted to follow me and find out what it was. Well, it was just, so the old story was that there was a gas station in Nag's Head that sold Playboy magazines and great biscuits. And the old men would go, if you want good biscuits and porn, you go to that. And they started calling it the Biscuits and Porn gas station.
Yeah.
And somewhere the owner thought it would be really funny to just change the name to Biscuits and Porn. And apparently they still sell the dirty magazines. They have a rack, you know, and you remember
when I was younger, that was commonplace in gas stations.
That was commonplace in every gas station. You would go to the back and they would have these things up in front of them where you couldn't see them. And you go back there and buy one and walk to the front and try to make sure nobody was looking.
The world has changed a lot.
Now you can get it on your phone, so nobody does that anymore.
Yep.
But it was very commonplace, and I guess that's one of the only places I've been in that still has the nudie mag. We call them nudie mags.
That's what we
back then, not porn.
Yeah.
But a whole lot different than what you can get on your phone. But that's the and it had good biscuits. The biscuits were good, so I did review it. The biscuits were good. It was so cold that day.
Yeah, you came for the biscuits, but you stayed for the porn.
That's what people say, And there was a lot of very good jokes if you go to the comment section. Yeah, that was, I'm not going to say any of them because some of them were pretty bad.
Oh, yeah.
But if you want to look that up, you can look that up. And but I enjoyed North Carolina. I went to this place called, it's spelled Saxapahaw, but I think it's just Saxapaw is the way you say it. But it was this little bitty town that could have been Drew or Indianola, right? But there's nestled
like a real little bitty town.
Yeah, it's nestled up in the mountains of North Carolina, but it was a mill town. So just like a lot of these towns around here, the mills left. They had nothing going on, and they had all of this huge mill building, and they split this thing up, and they put a gas station on one end of it, and then the rest of it was just kind of dilapidated. And somehow the gas station closed, and they got a hold of it, and one guy put like a gourmet food restaurant in the gas station. Kept the gas, and on the other end, they built this big ballroom where they could have parties. And then one part of it's an elementary school. It's so weird, and it's real eclectic and lots of art, you know, and they have lots of, it's almost like a little farmer's market when you go in there. They got local vegetables and stuff and a little seating area.
Like something just for the community itself.
Correct. And it's become a destination now. And I can't even remember what it was. I'll have to send you the video, but it was this sandwich with like goat cheese and like roast beef debris, but it was short rib instead of roast beef. Man, that thing was on panini bread. Like you were like, wait, this is gas station food?
I came across a bunch of places.
It was pretty fantastic. But I really enjoyed North Carolina. I had some good barbecue. Did you eat some whole hard barbecue when you were there? I got the whole hard. Yeah. Went to Benson to Redneck Barbecue Lab, and that was good. So, I had a good experience. But what I didn't realize was it's like 18 hours from my house to the Outer Banks.
Yeah.
It's quite a drive.
Yeah.
It's like going to Key West. We went to Key West one time, and it's the same amount of time. It's like 1,100 miles.
What we would do is I would get up at 5 in the morning. We would drive to Vicksburg, which is where we were based out of. load up everything we were going to need for the job for the next week or 2 weeks, however long we were going to be gone. We would drive from Vicksburg, Mississippi, all the way to North Carolina about the time the theater closed. When the theater closed, then we would begin our
So y'all
shift.
mostly did it at night?
So our Monday, on most days, Monday was a 24-hour day. Because we would get up at 5 in the morning Monday, and we wouldn't get off till 5, 6, 7 o'clock in the morning the next day. So Monday, working for the theater group, because it was all family. That's the only reason it worked, because my uncle owned it. It was myself, him, and my other cousin, and a few other guys. But the majority of all of us that worked together, all family. It was all cousins, uncles, nephews. If it had been anything else, it wouldn't have worked. Because you can't just live from town to town like a nomad working on movie theaters. And a lot of it was, just mundane, insane work. You get on each other's nerves. If I'm working for a guy, this guy goes home to his family, I don't know this guy outside of work, I can't smack him upside the head. I can't. If it's my cousin, I can smack him upside the head and say, look, man, just chill. Take a minute. And they, oh, man, I'm sorry. And then we come back and we go back to work because we're family. I've smacked you before when we wasn't at work, and that's how we all got along. But, it was, you can tell each other how you feel from the heart.
So was the best part of that being able to travel?
The best part of that was being able to travel with your family.
So you did enjoy that family part
It was the weirdest thing, being able to just spend time with your family and go across the whole United States and just travel around, because we would go to, Sacramento, we would go to New York, oh my gosh, you name it, we went there. The only thing I didn't see while we were out was Mount Rushmore. I didn't get to see Mount Rushmore. I wanted to. Have you ever been to the Grand Canyon?
I have.
Anybody that asked me, don't go. Don't go. I went 3 times, and it's always because we were going towards California, and I had some people in the truck with me that have never been to the Grand Canyon. And when you say Grand Canyon, they go, oh my Lord, Grand Canyon. Because there's a sign that says 55 miles, Grand Canyon.
Yeah.
When you can turn off the highway. I said, okay. And I tell them, look, we're going to take a detour. We're going to be about 2 hours out of the way, but, we're going to go and come back. Okay, all right. So we'd go. As you're traveling into the big tourist area of the Grand Canyon, you go across this bridge. And everybody goes, oh, my God, no, that's not the Grand Canyon. That's a river. That's something else. So as you're driving, you can't even see the Grand Canyon because the ground's dead flat level. And you're on the ground. So, that's what I always explain to them. It's Grand Canyon right over there, man. Where? Can't see it. Well, we pull up. You go down to the little tourist area. There's this metal bar thing.
It's pretty limited the access you have to.
Yeah, the access you have to even get to it to look out over it. So you go out over there, and you look out, and they go, whoa. And then they look left and right. Wow.
And then you're done.
All right, you're done.
Yeah.
That's it, Grand Canyon.
I think it would be fun if you could afford like a helicopter tour.
That would be.
Or if you could go down, maybe raft through it or something. But yeah, going up to the edge, it's not that it's not spectacular, but
It
it's just
is.
your access is so small.
It's spectacular in the point of where you can look at it and go, and then you realize how long it took to create that, of just water moving,
Erosion.
to move that much dirt. Because when you're looking out and it's a mile to the other side, you think, well, I'm not throwing a rock over there.
No.
And I got tickled. We had a guy named Ricky that was with us. Ricky had never been out of Mississippi. So Ricky wanted to stop everywhere. And needless to say, he was the first
I don't blame him.
He was the first person that wanted to go to the Grand Canyon with us. I said, Ricky, it's not what you think. He said, man, I want to go. I said, all right. I said, well, we put in the turn. So we got to the little turnoff where you go to the Grand Canyon. We headed yonder way. I finally got Ricky out there. Ricky's scared of heights. Ricky's terrified. So, there's children running around up there on the little platform deck thing, which is actually a really big space, open space. But they have this metal bar around the edge of it, and Ricky starts shaking and trembling. I said, Ricky, are you okay? I said, we drove all the way over here. You're looking out this hole. So Ricky grabs one of the bars on the side, and it's like he's towing a rope. It's probably 200 feet to the end.
He ain't anywhere close to it.
He ain't nowhere near close to it. And the kids are running by, and every time a kid runs by, you could see him he said, please make him stop. Please make him stop. And Ricky starts easing to the edge of the thing, and he finally looks over, and then this kid comes by, and I thought Ricky done messed his britches. That kid come by and bumped him. He hollered. And he looked down over the edge. He said, I got to go. I got it. And he turned back around and he walked back down that road. And once he finally got to the edge down there to where the end of the little barricade was, Ricky was done. It took every ounce of energy, everything Ricky had to get to the edge of that. That was the first time I'd ever seen somebody really fight fear. Because he was terrified, but he was insistent. He was finna look over that edge. He looked over that edge, and that little kid brushed him, and he thought, oh, my God, I'm going to die. And then he turned around.
Well, maybe I'm not afraid of heights.
That was hilarious to me.
I respect heights. I don't like heights. I don't really have any desire to get up. I'll tell you what freaks me out is when you go out on these glass platforms.
Yes.
I don't want nothing to do with that. I know, like intellectually, I know they wouldn't have built it this way
All right,
if it was dangerous. But I walk up there, and I'm just like, nope.
That's like when you go up to the Sears Tower in Chicago.
I've not done the Sears Tower.
You can go up to the Sears Tower and look over, and you get this. By the time you get up there, you can really feel when you can feel the wind blowing.
Did the Empire State Building, and that didn't bother me at all because you done the Empire State, so it's too low. So you go to the top, you're not actually at the top,
right?
And we go to the top, and it's a huge platform, and with huge. Like, you can just barely get your phone up to get over the edge of it and, get the New York skyline or whatever. Well, then they have another top that you pay extra money to go to. And, everybody in my family is a daredevil but me on that kind of stuff. And I'm like, so the 3 girls wanted to go to the top, and the boys said, nope,
no,
I'm not doing it. So we didn't go to the tippy top of Empire State Building. But, I mean, we're like, I don't know how many floors up. But, yeah, the wind was blowing. It was cold that night. It was beautiful. I mean, it was pretty.
Yeah.
But there was no glass underneath me. I was fine with that. But
I can't do the glass
like
underneath
even
me.
the pyramid in Memphis, you can go up to the top of it, and it has a glass platform. You walk out on, and I'm like, I'm staying in this little room. I'm good. I don't need that.
Yeah, I don't remember where we were at. My wife and I were on vacation. Went somewhere, and we were high enough up in the altitude where we were in the clouds. And when that elevator opened, you could go out into this platform, and they had the railing and everything around there, and they actually have bars to keep people from jumping out in case they had a bad day. But it took everything I had to get out there because in my mind, I'm thinking, I understand how high we are off the ground, and I'm not afraid of heights. I'm afraid of falling and dying.
Yeah.
But I was sitting there, and it took me a few minutes to where I could get my leg to go. And once I took that first step, I was kind of okay. I went on out there, but that was the first time I'd actually come in contact with terrified of heights because I couldn't make my leg move.
I don't know if this is true. I heard somewhere that the fear of heights is genetic.
It may be.
That like it's wired into us to fear heights.
Well, it's, that's how we've lived as long as we have.
I think so. Well, like I have that. I think I have that gene where they call it the super tasting gene, where anything bitter is really bitter to me. Like cilantro tastes like soap.
Tastes like soap. I get that a lot.
And that's supposedly that was a genetic thing too, where poison and cilantro taste very similar.
Oh.
And so babies automatically spit it out.
Yeah.
But when we've developed it now where babies lose that whatever's going on in their taste buds, but there's a certain genetic code that doesn't, and I'm one of those people that it's still like, and I can't handle a little bit of cilantro. But if I go to a Mexican restaurant, they just covered up. My wife eats. I can't do it. I cannot. I literally will blow it off of there. I'm like, that's too much. It just completely ruins it.
If it's a little bit, I'm fine. But if you just put it across the top of, I get soft shell tacos all the time.
Same.
And if they put too much, like all the way across the top, I just thump it off.
That's what I do.
Eat it.
I typically ask for none on it, but it's still sometimes. And my wife covered. She can handle it.
Yeah,
She loves it.
I can't
But
do
she also loves the dark, super dark chocolate,
I do too.
black coffee, all that. So I don't like coffee either.
That's what I've got, black coffee.
I have a coffee sponsor of the show, and I don't even drink coffee. We literally had this discussion when Matt White was on, but all my daughters do. And I'm like, all right, y'all got to taste this coffee and tell me if it's good, because I don't want to be having a product that's not good, you know.
Well, what is it?
It's called Nashville Grind.
Nashville Grind.
So the Nashville Grind, so what they're trying to do, they just started this company, and they want different stars to have a coffee brand.
Oh.
And if you've been in Nashville a long time and make it, they call that the Nashville Grind. So it's a little play on words with that.
On the local.
Yeah.
That's pretty neat.
Yeah, and they do grind them. It is ground right there in Nashville. They roast and grind the beans there. You can buy the whole bean, and the pods, but they do it right there in Nashville, and they have a direct relationship with the farmer
That they get
the bean from.
That's pretty neat.
So they make sure they get like a living wage and they don't get undercut too bad. And I thought that was kind of cool, but yeah, I don't know. I've tried to like it. It smells so good. Coffee smells so good.
Oh yeah.
If it tasted as good as it smelled, I don't think I'd ever quit drinking it.
It's one of those things where I'm the world's worst. I'll wait till I get the last of it, and then I'll go get some more. And if something happens and I don't get it and I don't have my coffee in the morning, there's something darker about the day. It is.
So do you drink, it's lunchtime and you're still drinking, and how long do you drink coffee all day? Because I mean, that's the way, growing up, all old men drank it all
I've
day.
been old for a long time.
And like, it'd be Mr. Thomas Hall. They would always have a pot of coffee in the office, and he would go see our bookkeeper on the farm, Miss Nell, and you'd go in at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and they'd be sitting there with a cup of coffee, and it's 100-something degrees outside.
Oh, I don't care
And I'm
what
like,
temperature it is.
He said, I don't know if there's any science behind it, this will actually cool you off. And I'm like, that does not make sense to me.
I beg to differ on that.
I think
I break a sweat in the summertime drinking coffee, but I won't quit drinking it. That's one of those things. My grandfather used to drink a lot of coffee. He drank coffee all day long.
Black?
Black. And, you know, this is what he used to say. The only thing I put in my coffee is more coffee. That's it. That's all. You know, when it gets a little low, you put some more in.
Do you have a brand?
I do, and I can't pronounce it. I get it from Aldi, and it's German, and
Gotcha.
it's strong.
So you like the strong stuff?
I do. I like black coffee. I like coffee that, you know, you can almost stand your spoon up in it.
Yeah.
That's what I drink. But I'm one of those people, and my mom used to have it when I was younger, and I guess I adapted that. I sleep probably 5 hours a day at the most. Other than that, I'm working, drawing, sketching, you know, fooling with dogs. We used to breed Old English Bulldogs.
So what time do you go to bed at night?
Around 11.
And you wake up what time?
Around 4:45.
Oh man, no, I couldn't live that way. I really want 7 hours. I can live with 6, but if I get less than 6, I'm not a good person.
Oh, if I got 7 hours of sleep, there's no telling what I'd get done.
and I wish I was that. You know, it's such a small percentage of the population they say is like that.
Yeah.
And do you know, we were talking about IQs earlier. Does it seems like the people that do that have a pretty high IQ? There some
I'm gonna tell you what the
correlation?
relationship is. It's the quiet. When you lay down and it's dead quiet and there's no stimulation at all, and you're not. I have the reason I work the way I do and I sleep the way I do is because I have to be completely exhausted to sleep. If I don't and I lay down and it's dead quiet, my brain starts ramping up and I can't get it to shut off. And I'll go from I'm sleepy, I think I'll go to bed, to I'm wide awake and there's no way I'm going to sleep.
That happens to me sometimes. I am exhausted when I go to bed.
Yeah.
Now I do. I'm here usually by 6 at this office. And then if something's going on the farm, I go to the farm, or usually I'm behind that desk right there editing, or this morning I was working on making sure they got their W-2s because the QuickBooks supposed to mail them out and all that. But I stay busy, you know. But I've learned there's a difference between busy work and work.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna have some kind of busy work. I can't be unoccupied. Or
Yeah.
like you said, I do have that problem. So what I'll typically do is I've got there's Tony Robbins has a line that people like the surprises that they want.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I'll put on a TV show or something I have seen before, so I'm not so interested in it
That I have to watch it.
that I have to watch it, but
Yeah.
I'm interested enough that it lets my mind shut down a little bit,
Yeah.
and that helps. And I'll usually fall asleep in my chair.
What I'll do is I'll put on a show that Tombstone. I bet I've seen I've watched Tombstone probably 5 times. I've had it on while I'm working in a neighborhood probably 100 times.
So
I can recite at the beginning. I can tell you.
Indiana
Tombstone.
Jones, Raiders of the Lost Ark for me.
Yeah.
It's probably that one. Or I tell you I like adventure movies because that's what we grew up with.
Yeah.
Everything was an adventure movie.
Yep.
The other one for me that's a little bit newer than that, but still not new, is Sahara.
I've seen that one.
Matthew McConaughey.
Yep.
The guy that wrote that book was Clive Cussler. He's dead now, but all the Clive Cussler books, I've read pretty much every one of them.
Huh.
He's dead, they're still coming out. They have these ghostwriters.
It's funny how that happens.
And they're still good. I still read those, but I think I've read every book that Clive Cussler ever wrote.
Really?
Yeah, they're great. They're great adventure novels.
I used to be like that with Stephen King until
He
started talking about stuff besides books.
Yeah,
He's so political now, and I can't get behind him. And some of the stuff, it started getting weird.
Well, I was gonna say he's not just because I can handle political to a degree,
Yeah, but that can't
but
be.
you just can't be on there. He was just screaming and hollering a lot of the time.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, what do you even like? Even people that agreed with him, I think sometimes are going, what?
Yeah, I look at him sometimes, and he'll get on, and nowadays everybody has a camera.
Yeah.
And they'll ask him a question, stick a camera in his face, and I keep thinking to myself, surely he has a friend to say, hey.
I do think that's part of it. That's why if I like an actor, the way they do their acting, I just watch it. I don't want to know the personal life.
And that's me because it just ruined me with Stephen King.
and I know that they don't have that guy.
Yeah.
There's a point. I'll give you a great example. Somebody need to pull Garth Brooks aside and say, hey man, I don't know if you've seen this, but he's gotten into it with this comedian.
Yeah.
And the comedian was just making a joke.
Yeah.
And Garth
what
took
he
it kind of
does.
personal. And it's like really after this guy.
Yeah.
And the joke is that everywhere Garth has ever played, there's been a murder.
Right.
And that he's a serial killer. Well, that's obviously not true.
Yeah.
It's funny, but it's not true.
Yeah.
I don't think.
Yeah,
And he is
theoretically.
like taking this personal
Right.
and has gone after this guy. And I'm like, is nobody in his circle gonna go, hey man, you do look a little crazy now. You didn't look crazy before it was a joke. Now
Yeah.
people are going, why is he being so defensive?
Well,
But I think
thing
it's because
on it-
there is nobody in his circle. He's been so famous for so long.
Well, they surround themselves with yes men too.
And maybe not intentionally, but that's what happens.
Yeah. They agree with everything just so they can get along to go along. And he needs somebody. The thing is with Garth and that whole ordeal, if he'd have said nothing, it wouldn't have
Right.
even been
Nobody
a thing.
would
It'd
ever
have
say
been over.
anything again. Or if he just said something funny.
Yeah. Or just said something funny back at him like, hey, you never know.
You might,
Or lead
you never
into
know,
it.
but you might want to be careful because you
Yeah.
never know. You know,
I
like
might
he
be
could have
touring
been,
to your town.
and that guy would have thought it was funny and probably had him on the podcast.
Yeah.
But instead it got
He
weird.
went the wrong way.
I cooked for Garth Brooks one time,
Oh.
so I was catering for the Grammy Museum over here had Garth, and they called me and they're like, Elizabeth High School's doing the dinner. We need somebody to cook for Garth.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what? And at the time, they were like, we need somebody to cook for the entertainment. We can't tell you who it is. It's a big secret.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, all right, it's a big secret. How do I know what to cook if it's a big secret? Like,
Right.
I'm cooking specifically for him and his people. And like a week out, they called me and said, all right, they're announcing it tomorrow, Garth Brooks. And I am actually, I say all this in jest because I'm a huge Garth Brooks fan.
Oh, I am.
I mean, when I was in college, he was the guy.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wait a minute, I'm getting to cook for Garth Brooks. And I said, he's a fat country boy like me. I'm doing green beans, mashed potatoes and gravy, which is one of his favorite things. I looked that up, and I'm going to do fried ribs for him. And I'm like, what all is he getting to eat that day? I kid you not, this was the menu. Pizza for breakfast, Then he got Chick-fil-A, and then I fed him at night. And I'm like I said.
It explains.
It explains like
It explains why he's not that thin country fella anymore.
at his heart, though, he's just a fat boy like me. You know, he likes that. He likes fat boy food. And so I get there, and they made me sign a contract that I would not approach Garth Brooks if I saw him.
Yeah.
Because I'm technically an employee of the museum at this point. And I walk in there, and there's nobody in there but me and Garth Brooks.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, I always want to meet Garth Brooks.
Yeah.
And I just kind of go, hey, how you doing? And I just keep walking. I kept my word, you know.
Yeah.
And in retrospect, I was like, I should have gone over to talk. But he was walking around a little gift shop and had his baseball cap on and was just hanging out, just chilling.
Yeah. I've seen a lot on Garth, and he just seems like a normal.
I think he is, but I think it's what you said. He's surrounded by people that can't pull him aside and say, that don't quite look right.
Yeah. You know, when you've been on top so long and you start surrounding yourself,
you're not around normal people at all.
You know, that was one of the things that at the last place I worked at, the CEO and the owner, I don't want to say they didn't get along, but they didn't mind butting heads.
Yeah.
And that's, if you're going to be successful in anything, you need someone to say, hey, what about this?
Yeah.
Because if you don't, I'm going to be honest, the other person's irrelevant. Because if all they're going to do is agree with you, you might as well stand there by yourself.
Have you ever seen World War Z?
I have.
There's a part in that movie that I think is actually based on truth, where the Israelis always have one guy at the table that goes, this the guy that if everybody says this can't happen, there's one guy that says, but here's what would happen if it did happen.
Yeah.
And he was the guy that went, we could have zombies, so this is what we should do. And they actually did what he said, and that's why. But I do think you need that one guy that just plays devil's advocate, I guess.
And that's
devil's
what
advocate for you that you trust enough to listen to. And man, everybody that comes in contact with Garth Brooks probably wants something.
Yeah.
Got to be a weird place to be.
You know, I'll work with you, but sooner or later somebody's going to say, hey, can you do this for me? Or what about
Well, that's
this?
even like some of the rooms, and I got it wrong. I did do that whole Garth Brooks thing. It was Charlie Pride that I just cooked for him, and Elizabeth High School did the dinner. So I cooked for Charlie Pride right before he died.
Loves Charlie Pride.
Oh, man, I was a huge Charlie Pride fan, but I did not get to meet him either. And there wasn't that thing with, I mean, Garth Brooks is just such a big star. He didn't have anything to do with them telling me not to do that. That was just their policy.
Just standard policy. Yeah.
But when I did Charlie Pride, they didn't get me. I met all his people. And so I cooked for all of them. Same kind of deal. I cooked like fried chicken and turnip greens and stuff, like normal food. Because that's what we do so well. And I didn't get to meet him, but I met his wife. I think it was his wife and some of his family, and they were just superb people. But huge Charlie Pride fan. I mean, he's a Mississippi guy.
Yeah.
And that was a lot of fun. Yeah. That was a lot of fun to do that, and but his people were very down to earth. But I end up in these rooms sometimes with these, I ain't gonna say famous people like that, but maybe big time people that are doing big things. And I'm just like, I don't want to ask for anything because I know that's all they get.
Yeah, you can feel it.
You can. You know, there's a little bit of apprehension anytime they meet somebody because it's like, what's this? You know, what's Stafford?
What do they want from me?
Yeah. What's James want from me?
Yep.
And I don't want to be that guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So in their defense of going crazy a little bit,
I understand.
yeah, I do understand. Like I give my Tom Cruise is crazy. We all know it. I'm still gonna watch the last Mission Impossible.
Exactly.
He crazy as hell.
When I seen him jump on that couch when he was with his last wife that he since divorced, but he was talking about how awesome and in love he was and everything, and he was jumping around on that couch.
Yeah, on Oprah.
My dog acts like that. Yeah. And this man is just ridiculously rich, famous, and I thought, he's not screw tight. He's not.
No. But if he was, we wouldn't get all of what he's done. It's like the same thing that made him jump up and down on the couch made him get up on that airplane hanging by a strap.
The fact that he even wants to do that on his own, he wants to do those stunts.
That's crazy.
Did you hear how they filmed the Mission Impossibles?
Yeah.
I was watching a podcast he did with, it was someone else that was affiliated with the Mission Impossible stuff. They film all the stunts that Tom wants to do. They get all the stunts together, and then they make the movie around the stunts. And
Yeah.
I thought,
Yeah, he's got.
what in
Well,
the
it's like
world is
it's like Spielberg and them always had gags they wanted to use,
Right.
And they were like, "Where can we put this in the movie?
it? Where can
You
we
know?
put this in the movie?
And one of the gags that they use in Raiders of the Lost Ark when he comes in and he takes out that thing and then it's a coat hanger.
Yeah.
They wanted to use that in Star Wars, but they couldn't figure out how a coat hanger fit in
How to-
Star
how
Wars,
to use
so
it.
they kept that gag.
That's
Or
funny. Raiders of the Lost Ark.
well, and then they were like, "Oh, it'll work in Raiders of the Lost Ark." You know, he'll come in and.
Yeah.
But it's like but yeah, Tom's the same way. He did that one where he jumped from one building to the other and broke his leg.
Yeah.
And Matt Damon was talking about it, and he said, you know, Tom was telling me, so I had this whole thing planned out. I went to the stunt coordinator, and I was like, "Here's how we're going to do it." And the guy says, "I can't let you do that."
Yeah.
And Matt goes, "Well, what'd you do?" He said, "So I fired him, got another stunt
Got no
coordinator,
stunt. Yeah. Because
and
I'm
then,
doing this.
and then broke his leg,
yeah.
and finished the shot."
Yeah.
Which is like, that's the same guy that's going to go crazy on Oprah.
Yeah.
Because I ain't doing either one of those things.
Yeah, because you look at them and, you know, you see people out in the public and you see people at home and they're kind of, you know,
Yeah.
famous people, they're two different people. I don't think Tom's like that. I think Tom's Tom, wherever he's at. And I could see that.
He says all he does when he's not filming is he's got a home movie theater and he watches every movie he can get his hand, just to see what other people are doing.
Yeah.
I mean,
can
like,
see
he's truly a creator.
Look how long he's been in movies.
Gosh.
I remember back when he did Cocktail and, you know. he was-
Risky Business.
yeah. Oh,
That's when we
gosh.
were in school.
Yeah, that's
Risky
when we were in
Business.
school.
And then when he did Cocktails, we all wanted to learn how
to
we were gonna
flip
move.
bottles.
Yeah, we wanted to flip bottles and move down. And then Days of Thunder, we all left the movie theater, Cinema 4 in Cleveland, peeling out tires in the parking lot. after
Ready to
Days of
roll.
Thunder. Yeah, people don't know. I try to get my kids to watch Days of Thunder. I'm like, it's Top Gun in a NASCAR.
car. Yeah.
It's the same exact movie.
Yep. And it's really good. It's funny how they took the two completely different genres. You know, you've got, you know, your war enthusiasts, you know, you're military oriented, and then you can take it down to the NASCAR level, and it's almost the same movie, but they're completely different movies.
Yeah.
But it's not. And when
Yeah.
you look at the gist of the script, you know, the starring lady that's on, you know, and the conflict between them. You watch one, you watch the other. You have literally watched the same movie twice.
It's- yeah, you
it's just
have.
he got out of the plane and got in the car, and it's the same show.
So my daughter is a huge Val Kilmer fan because she's a Doors fan.
Yes.
And she, like, every time we talk about Val Kilmer or the Doors,
That's
she
the
tells
movie
me the
everybody
same story.
misses.
She says, you know, the band members couldn't tell him, Val Kilmer, and him apart.
Yep.
Singing All the Way Love.
Yep.
And she tells me that because she's like my daughter, when she gets into music, she's a super fan.
Yeah.
She's a super fan. And that's one thing that gives me hope about Gen Z. We were talking about that earlier. They all like that older music.
Yeah.
They love it.
I remember my kids sitting there watching Purple Rain
Yeah.
on VCR, and I thought, "There's hope."
There is hope, yeah. so we did this one of the events we did at the Grammys, and Anna Walton, who's turning 19 in a few weeks, she was a little bitty thing, and they had this room where you could go in and watch Michael Jackson, and she would disappear on us, and we would go into the museum part, and she was in there watching Michael Jackson, you know.
Yep. That's something that, you know, they have and I think it's because of social media and the amount of people they have on, you know, TikTok and things like that. But do you remember how the people and the public reacted to Michael Jackson back in the day?
Oh yeah,
Because it's just a huge, people falling out in the
it was
floor.
like Elvis.
Yeah. And
That's all. Elvis and the Beatles and Michael Jackson. You can compare
Yeah.
all of those guys.
they're, you know, the reaction to them is the same thing.
Yeah.
You don't have that anymore, and I think it's because it's so easy now to get in front of the public eye.
Well, the only one I can think of is maybe Taylor Swift.
With,
She's to the people that
and
love her,
oddly enough,
she's
yeah.
huge.
And it's still the same 14-year-old girls falling out.
Yeah, it's a different deal because they're female.
Yeah. You should
but,
hear my grandson talk about Taylor Swift. His cousin, she's a big Taylor Swift fan, and he is not. And you can say Taylor, and he'll go, oh.
I'm not mad at her. You know, anybody that can pull off what she's pulled off, and again, forget her
Even at
politics.
such a young age.
Man, it's like I got to respect it a little bit. And the people I know that were like, I'm taking my daughter, I don't want to go, and come out and go, you know what? That was really kind of amazing.
Oh, yeah, without a doubt. Her level of being able to do, there's so much of her that's in the creative aspect of her shows, let alone the music, the writing, the lyrics, everything. You know, to be able to sit down and actually write a song that's relevant and that people can, you know, connect to, regardless of what age group it is, because she'll write songs for a younger group and older groups. It just depends on what day it is, and to be able to do that over and over and over is, you know, how many people make millions off of one hit wonders?
Oh yeah,
you know,
and she does
it
album
over
and
over and over. And
well, the thing that kind of got me to thinking different about, because I was not a Taylor, and I'm still not. I couldn't tell you probably off the top of my head any song she's got, but the respect I have for her, my daughter will be like, all right, see this album here. She put Easter eggs in it for this not the next album, but the next album. Like she's thinking 2 albums that she's playing chess.
Oh yeah.
And she's like, if you know, and now this new album's out, and we're trying to figure out what are the Easter eggs for the next album and the next album. And she was like, everybody thinks this is, and then they'll be right. They'll be, and they're so in tune with her music.
You're right.
That they'll be like, oh, she's going to do this, and she's going to do that, and then she does it, and I'm like, all right. I gotta admit, that's pretty cool.
That's pretty good.
That's a whole nother level of connecting with your fans. So you got to give her some credit. But she's another one that was famous at 13 years old.
Very young. I remember when she first sang Tim McGraw, and it was at the American Music Awards, and that was the first time she actually met Tim McGraw and Faith Hill was at the. And I was thinking, this kid is going to be. Because she was a scrawny, little bitty, probably didn't weigh 85 pounds. The guitar was way bigger than she was.
Yeah.
And I thought, if you listen to the whole album, not just that one song, but the whole album, I thought, how in the world? But you know who she reminds me of? Prince. By the time Prince was 14 years old, he already had 200 songs.
Yeah, he was a savant.
Yeah, and she reminds me of someone of that. Not just to be able to write songs, because there's a ton of people that can write songs and nobody listens to them because nobody cares. But to be able to write songs that people can connect to and actually invoke emotions on people, that's real songwriting. And that's who she reminds me a lot of as far as their presence.
I don't connect with them, but my daughter's 100%. You know what I mean? Like but I do. I've seen dads go to these shows and go, it was kind of amazing.
Yeah.
Like I don't care for that music, but seeing what they put together and how they did it, and how it all, everything she does, she's thought every little detail. Well, it's even like, you know, when we putting together that burger, you know, we think about what we're going to put on it and how we're going to do the fries, and you know, we're going to use garlic salt or sea salt.
Yeah.
She thinks about every element the way a chef would a dish that they're preparing.
Oh yeah.
She didn't just go, let's write a song and put it out on radio and hope
for the best.
Pit ticket.
No, the hope for the best thing. That's somebody else.
I don't know how we got off on that
Taylor
much music. Well, the same generation has a lot to do with it, you know. Even though we just met today for the first time.
Yeah.
And we got to make sure we cover all of your stories. Although this is a conversational type podcast, that is the way it's designed to be. But so we covered the silver screen.
Yep.
Which is I guess I never thought about who goes around and fixes these things.
Yeah.
And that's.
But it's a lot of people. I'm gonna tell you what. A lot of people don't realize or appreciate everything you touch in your entire life. Someone created that.
Yeah.
Someone said, "Hey, let me figure out how to make that." And then, I mean, for what it is here in the United States, and let me figure out how to make it and sell it.
So you're ultimately a creative.
Yeah. I'm going to tell you what I did. I told my wife about 2 months ago, I said, I've got an idea. And it's because I've seen a lot of people, I forgot where I was even at because it was irrelevant. But I was sitting there, and every kid that was, I went to go see my sister. She works at the clinic in Indianola. But anyway, every kid in there was on a cell phone. And one of the moms grabbed a cell phone for her kid and said, "You can't watch that," and took it from her. And I was thinking, how many kids, because I approach everything from a Christian-based platform. I do. And I come up with an idea of something that looks like a cell phone, has a smaller screen, and only has just a couple apps on it that are children-oriented as far as learning. So you can kind of govern what they watch. If you wanted to put Blue's Clues on it or this, that, and another, so you don't have to have the amount of data, information, and all this on it that you do a cell phone, which would lower the cost of the piece. The screen doesn't have to have, the maximum capability of, pixels and everything, because the kids are just watching it literally just for entertainment. But if you could garner that into a direction of where those 10 apps that are on that device are geared towards education.
Like edutainment.
Right.
Yeah.
And you could actually, you don't need the camera. So you've eliminated the cost of the camera on it either, because you don't need a camera, because most kids that watch these phones are watching the screen. They're not taking pictures and stuff like that.
And they don't need to be taking pictures.
So there's no need for a camera on it. So you lower the cost of that. So I sat down, sketched some stuff out, wrote some stuff out, and I was like, okay, that's a good idea. And then I was riding down the road, and I was delivering some furniture. And I was in Tennessee, and from Tennessee all the way back to the house, I was doing a video of myself talking about, I was doing the pros and cons of this stupid little device because my brain wouldn't shut up about it. So I got all this off, got it down, wrote a letter, and I sent it to, is it Vizio? What's VTech? I sent it to VTech, and I sent it to, it was VTech and Sanyo, but I wrote 2 letters and I sent it to them. And I wrote a thing on there, disclaimer, this is my name, address, all this stuff. And I waive all the rights. It's just an idea. And I said, as a Christian conservative, I think there's a market for this. And it eliminates them from being able to go onto the internet because it's not internet capable. You can only, it hooks
you
to
had
the
to
internet
load
to
it.
watch it. So the apps that are on it are the only place you can go. So you can't just.
So in their hand,
the
they
internet.
feel like they have a cell phone, but they don't actually have what mom and daddy have.
They don't have what mom and dad have, so it limits access. So I wrote the letter, waived all my rights, and I was like, I don't have time to fool with this. So I sent all this and explained to them why and the amount of people that I think would buy something like this for their kids if you can keep it under $100. And you can fix it to where it could actually hook to Wi-Fi, so you don't have to have a plan for it. So if you have Wi-Fi at your home, or mom and dad have a cell phone and it's Bluetooth capable or something like that, you can actually hook this to that, so you don't have to buy Bluetooth. You don't have to have a package, another cell phone package for this piece. And I just sent it to them. I was like, I don't know. So if you see it in the market in the next year or so, that's where it came from. But I was like, I don't have time to fool with this. And what I did was I got online and I looked up the marketing team for VTech and the marketing team. I want to say, was it Sanyo? I want to say I sent it to Sanyo because I seen something on some of the stuff that they were working on, and I actually sent it to their marketing team. So if y'all see it in the next couple years.
You watch Ben and Aaron Napier any? Oh, you need to watch Ben. So they have a show called Hometown
I've
in
heard
Laurel.
of it.
So
okay, I know you're talking about.
He builds furniture every episode.
I know who you're talking about now.
So if you've got, if you do a lot of streaming, Ben's Workshop, that's all he does on that.
Yeah.
It's only one season of it. But he'll have a guest. It's a podcast, and they build a piece of furniture.
Oh.
And it'll be like, we're going to build this super cool bench for the park or
Yeah.
something like that. And he'll have an astronaut, like literally an astronaut or something. So real cool. Anyway, they have small children, and they're already running into this. So they have this thing that they're working with C-Spire. I almost said Sailor South. I think they're working with C-Spire on this. That it is a phone because they don't want their kids to have access to it until they're much, much older, like 12 or 13.
That's exactly what I'm talking about.
And they're like, so we do want them to have a phone, but we don't want them to have access to all this stuff that they don't
internet.
need. Exactly. And the other thing they do is they were going into schools because that peer pressure is an issue. They're going into schools and they're like recruiting parents to, hey, let's all get together where you have a block of kids that don't have it.
Yeah.
Instead of one kid in a class
Yeah.
that doesn't have that. So that would be interesting. We may have to send this clip to Ben and Aaron and let them see it, because
there's a market for it.
Well, and they're millennials, so they didn't grow up with it, but they were young when it came along.
Yeah.
And they see, so now, our kids are older. They see that it's an issue, and they are trying to figure a way around it.
Because what bothers me is the next wave of. Have you looked up anything on the data centers that they're building for AI? My brother-in-law, he drives heavy machinery. The place that they're working on down in Louisiana, just the footprint of the data center that they're building down there is almost 1 mile by 1 mile.
Yeah, 640 acres.
That is insane.
I've been by the Meta one there, and then they're building one as big as that in Madison right now.
That is absolutely crazy. Once they get that up and going, they said that it's going to consume as much electricity for that one data center as New Orleans does. And I'm thinking, what are you doing that you need to consume that amount of electricity? Okay, I can make a data center that thinks for me. That's fine. But if I'm creating something that's that enormous, what all is it doing for us as human beings? Because it's one of those things where if you don't follow the money, it doesn't make sense. But they're going to generate income off of this. How are they going to generate income off of this without replacing? I just don't see them adding to what we have.
We lost a lot.
We lost a lot. I don't see them adding to what we have here in, present day, other than replacing what we have and giving us something else.
It's some of that's going to happen. I think the only way they're going to be able to keep the electricity deal is they're going to, like in Texas, one of the things that they're trying to do, they drill these wells for oil.
Yeah.
And they bleed off the natural gas into the atmosphere because they can't use it. They can't capture it. They can't use it. So now they're trying to go where that's happening and build a power plant right there and build a data center with it. And so you're using natural gas that was escaping in the atmosphere anyway.
Yeah.
And it's not a zero net, but it kind of is in a way.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there's some of that. I think they're going to try to drill for natural gas and build a power plant. This one that Elon Musk is putting here in Mississippi. The rumor is they're going to try to drill for natural gas there and put a power plant in so they won't be. It'll all be connected to the grid,
right?
But they'll be also producing their own power because the amount of power these things is using is crazy.
Yeah. I just can't help but wonder what they're going to be doing as far as the amount of information and what they're doing with it that we don't have today. Because whatever they're doing doesn't exist right now because they're building it.
Yeah.
So whatever's coming.
What's going to replace something for sure?
Yeah.
Jobs for one.
Jobs is my biggest thing.
But the cotton picker replaced a bunch of jobs.
You're right. It did. That goes back to the same thing.
I'm hoping it replaces jobs we don't want to do.
I don't think that's going to be the case.
I don't think it's going to be creating and building furniture.
And that goes to the same thing that I was talking to a guy about the other day. About 2 weeks ago, we were talking about. I said the only thing that a computer can't replace is this.
Yeah.
If you can,
for now.
If you're a plumber, you're an electrician, you're a maintenance person.
Votech.
Yeah, Votech. That's where the people who sat down at accountants. I can't help but think that something like that's going to be in 5 years not needed.
Well, I mean, I cannot imagine with what QuickBooks can do now as opposed to when I started in business. It's going to be filing your taxes, and it'll be natural conversation. You'll turn it on, and it will say, "Hey, I need to ask you about this charge on your Visa."
Yeah.
Oh, well, that's where I went down to the store and bought lumber to stand the screen up behind that job in North Carolina.
Yeah.
And it's going to put it on the job. If your job costs accounting, it's going to do all of that.
You don't need a
off
secretary.
a natural conversation, just the way you would if you walked in your accountant's office. Yeah.
Yeah. That was.
Well, for me, where it's really in accounting right now, there are way more accounting needs than there are accountants.
Yeah.
So I'm actually kind of in a way. I love my accountant, but I don't want to.
Who doesn't love a good accountant?
Yeah. But I don't. But it's like they're having a hard time keeping up.
Yeah. But things like that, you can go from replacing a few jobs to replacing every job in 1 year.
Yeah. It's
You
going
know,
to be
at the
scary.
rate this is gonna
And
come.
there'll be some of us like me that even if they had a robot that would build furniture, I'm going to be like, but I want something custom.
Right.
I want something. I want to know where it came, just like farm to table.
Yeah.
We want to know where our food comes from. I think there's going to be that kind of movement. And well, I want to know. By the way, I built this table.
Really?
Yeah, I'm not a very good carpenter, but I did build this table.
Hey, it's still upright.
And it's upright. That's about all I can say about it. And yeah, I needed tabletops, and they were expensive. And I said, "It's COVID. I don't have anything else to do." And I went and bought some cheap birch
There you
or
go.
whatever this is.
Yeah.
And I was like, "All right." So they've been here 6 or 7 years. But yeah, I do think there will be people that want to buy from people. That'll still happen.
That's always going to be the premium. Handmade has always been the premium. And I think that we're going to see a thing. My biggest thing is social media and things like that, like Facebook, YouTube. I think you're going to see an influx of YouTube creating their own channels, Facebook creating their own channels.
With AI. With an
With
AI
AI.
person is not real.
You
right
know,
there. Why wouldn't they?
Exactly.
It's going to be so easy.
Why would I split
'Cause
revenue 60-40 with you?
With
when
somebody
I can
else
keep it
that's
all?
create well, and even now, you can kind of tell some of them you really can't. There are AI people on Instagram that are women in bikinis
Yeah.
or dudes bull riding or something. So at what point does Meta go, why am I going to let them create a fake AI account when I can just
When I can
create
do
a
it
fake
myself.
AI account?
Exactly.
But real people, I hope, will continue to get to premium. But
I think that's going to be the next, in my opinion, I think the next big wave of. Do you watch anything on Rumble?
no.
Okay, I watch a ton of Rumble because it's free open speech and it's not, there's no governor, there's no nothing. There's nothing that, you can't say this here. A lot of it's, the majority of what I watch is Christian conservative type podcast, information flows and things like that. So it's not like, when people say, oh, you can say whatever you want to, they go, oh, you got cussed. No, it's not like that. It's, if I have a problem saying the jab killed people, they don't have a problem with that.
Yeah.
That's your opinion. You say that. I think the next big wave of the next big social media thing is going to be, we do not allow AI slop here. These
Yeah.
are
How you
people.
gonna police that? That's what I can't figure out.
There has to be some type of governor to where you.
Because I
can
do think
say-
people are going to push against it for sure.
I do.
But
do.
I can't figure out how they're going to. Well, right now, supposedly on Meta, you're supposed to flag it yourself.
as AI.
And so it's self-policed. That's not always happening, but a lot of it is. And like my mom for sure gets sucked into the AI stuff. But my wife will send me, have you seen this bear rescuing a baby? And I'm like, yeah, that's AI left. And
you know
I'm
what?
sorry, babe.
And if you don't, you'd be surprised the number of people that if you don't say something, they account it as real.
Even some of them, it will say AI or it will say AI animal rescues.
Yeah.
It'd be the name of the page, and people still look at it like it's
They go,
real.
did
and I'm
you
like,
see that video? Oh, that was crazy. And I'm thinking,
It was
you do realize-
crazy.
Yeah, that
That's
was
what-
crazy.
Yeah.
That was AI generated. And they go, no. And I'm thinking, yeah. I'm fascinated at the number of people that don't read the headlines and the topics of what they're clicking on.
Correct.
They just look at the video and go, oh my
Or the
goodness.
opposite, they look at the headline and the article has nothing to do with it.
Yeah.
You go click the headline and read the article, and you go, "Oh, that is not at all what the headline said."
Yeah.
Clickbait.
You clickbait.
So James, before we wrap this thing up, if somebody's got an idea for a piece of furniture, or
Yeah.
they got a piece of furniture that need reworked some kind of way, how do they
Yeah.
get in touch with you?
Just check it out on our Facebook page, Rag Hanger Upholstery. And I'm there and I answer same day. And we can sit down, sketch stuff out, or redo grandma's old couch. It's all the same to me.
Do people bring heirloom pieces to you a lot?
All the time. That's
Like
where I actually started.
That,
when I
like
was
this
really
is
young.
something that's meaningful to me, and I want to save it, rescue it.
The first piece that I actually really done that made me really appreciate the older pieces, Miss Bradshaw in Indianola. I redid everything in her living room, and I was 19 when I started there, so I was probably 21. and I was redoing all of her stuff in the living room. I tore a chair down, and inside that chair there was horsehair and a newspaper and fabric over the top of it. And when I took the newspaper off, it was the newspaper clipping from the day that Elvis died.
Really?
Yep. And I asked her, I said, do you want this before I, do something with it? And she said, oh, and I said, I was going to keep it. But I found a bunch of weird stuff in people's furniture. And I will say this, if you're going to bring something to reupholster and I'm going to go through it, check your cushions.
Well, I ask you this before we cut. Is old furniture built better, or is that a myth?
100%. 100%.
Just
Because
better-
it was
better
built
stuff?
before, the old Victorian style furniture was built before plywood existed. It was built before OSB existed. A lot of it was oak. And it's solid, it's hard, it's heavy. And I've got pieces that you get lazy upholsterers. They'll say, oh, I want this reupholstered. Then you get it reupholstered. It's a dining room chair. You flip it upside down, there's 6 layers of fabric.
I was going to say they just put it right over.
Yeah, and I do not. I'm one of those people, I'm anal about what I do. I break it all the way down to the frame and redo everything. If there's loose glue joints or anything like that, I'll replace it.
It's like a
Fix
brand new
all
piece
that
of furniture when they get it.
Yeah. It's just one of those things that I've always been in the habit of doing because I appreciate the piece itself. Because some of these things that I do were built back in the late 1800s. They don't make them anymore. This is the one. I do a lot of one-offs where, this is the only chair. This was a dining room chair. My grandfather sat in it and the rest of them are gone. This is the only one. And there won't be another one. So what I do is I'll actually send them, we're dying.
Yeah.
But I'll actually send them photos of the breakdown process sometimes on the real old pieces. And I always make sure I send them the last piece before I start putting it together because you send me a chair and I send you a picture of pieces. I'll have the front rail, top rail, side rail, all the little laid out on the table. And they go, oh my God, what'd you do with my chair? And I go, just wait till I get it back to you. And I clean everything up, re-glue, re-screw everything. And when I get it done, it's rock solid and it's as good as new. And they go, oh, you scared me. And I was
So
like,
you literally take it all the way apart. Every joint
if
that lets you.
If it's accessible and it's to where I can,
Yeah.
I strip it all the way down to the bones. And I literally rebuild the chair and then give it back to them. Now, if it's a sofa or something like that that's got, the springs and everything in it, I'll actually go through and check out all the frame structure and everything on that. But like dining room chairs or, little corner chairs, I strip them all the way down to nothing.
Man, that's
And
cool.
rebuild it.
Dude, appreciate it.
I have fun.
I think the light's telling us.
I got to
it's
get to
time.
work.
Yeah, you got stuff to do, don't you? Today's episode of Breaking Bread brought to you by that place right there, Stafford's Market in Delhi. Come check us out. We would love to have you for lunch. We're open Monday through Friday, and then Sunday we do a buffet, a little something different. Also, check out our Success Supper Clubs. They're free to the public. We would love for you to come to one of those. They're a lot of fun doing once a month. I'm Stafford Shurden. Thank you for watching, and live life with passion.